please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is an open meeting of the Seward, Nebraska governing body. The city of Seward abides by the Nebraska Open Meetings Act in conducting business. A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is displayed on the north wall of this meeting facility as required. Disclosure of meeting recording process is posted in the meeting room. A participant sign-in sheet is available for use by any citizen addressing the council. Visitors shall approach the podium, say their name and address for the clerk's record, and are asked to limit remarks to 5 minutes. All remarks shall be directed to the mayor, who shall determine by whom any appropriate response shall be made. The city of Seward reserves the right to adjust the order of items on this agenda if necessary, and may elect to take action on any of the items listed. Please call the roll.
Wilkin. Present. Beck. Here. Camper. Fritz.
Here.
Height.
Here.
Singleton.
Here.
Schmidt. Hens.
Here.
The first item this evening is consideration of approval of draft minutes of April 19th, 2016.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor. Wilkin. Beck. Fritz. Height. Singleton. Hens. Motion carried.
Item 2, consideration of consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor. Wilkin. Beck. Fritz. Height. Singleton. Hens. Motion carried.
Item 3, consideration of supplemental agreement number 3 with Shemmer Associates Incorporated for a sewer trail project. I believe we have a resolution to consider. John Hughes, did you want to take this? Thank you.
You should have had copies of the consultant's work order in your packets. I think the third page in gives you the current trail alignment and the revised trail alignment. The only thing in there is when they were talking about needing we needed to change because Seward was entertaining the golf course expansion. That really wasn't the case. Jeff Spatansky really didn't want it going through the middle of his property. He would just as soon it went off by the railroad. And then there was some talk about possibly expanding, but we're talking to 5 to 10 years down the way, and it really had nothing to do with the movement of the trail as much. The $28,000 seems like a lot of money for what it is, but apparently what they did is they inadvertently forgot to charge us for something else. It was $13,990 for a hazardous material, or $1,390. So it came out to about 25.
Any questions for John or any comments on item number 3?
Our share of that, those 20%.
Pardon?
Our share of that 28,000
Yeah.
is 20%.
20%. It's part of the total package of the trail.
Because the entire trail is an 80-20 split, correct?
80-20.
Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure everyone was aware of that. Any other questions or comments from the council?
I'll introduce this resolution.
All right, the resolution has been introduced and is designated as resolution number 2016-10. Would anyone like to move that this resolution be passed and adopted?
Second.
A motion and a second. Please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor. Wilkin. Beck. Fritz. Height. Singleton. Hens. Motion carried.
Thank you. Item number 4, consideration of a power purchase agreement with Blue Stem Energy. Bruce, did you want to take this?
Yeah, we've been discussing the possible wind turbine with Blue Stem Energy since last summer, or before that, before I came even. And so we're to the point where we've been working on this power purchase agreement with them. If you remember, they're proposing a 1.7 megawatt wind turbine. Our new contract with NPPD allows us to buy up to 2 megawatts of green energy from another generator. So this is within that. We've been working with NPPD on the language of the power purchase agreement and then working with Kelly on it. We finally kind of came up with an agreement late today to where I think we're pretty comfortable with it. But I'll let Adams here and Matt from Blue Stem and we can let them talk a little bit more about it. Is that okay, Mayor?
Yeah, and just so the council understands, we're not expecting a final vote on the agreement today. We just wanted to give you the final, the most recent version of that agreement so that you'll have that. And once, I hope in the next few days, we can finalize that in a form that everyone's okay. We'll get that out to the council in preparation for the next meeting, and hopefully answer any questions you may have in the meantime. With that, did you wanna step forward? And
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you. So, we've been working closely with
Say your name and your address and stuff.
Adam Herring, with Blue Stem Energy Solutions, and in the last few weeks, months, we've been working with Bruce very closely. He's been twisting our arm on price quite a bit, and so we've got to a point where the cost per megawatt hour is lower than your current delivered cost per megawatt hour, and it's fixed for 25 years, and for the first 3 years, it's a 0% increase. And so, I mean, this is no capital outlay from the city of Seward. We expect savings from the project, along with the economic development impact, along with some green energy in your community. So Matt has met with the county about a month ago to go over zoning and different things like that. We would take those next steps next, and we've met with a couple companies in the area that would are interested in participating at some different levels, and all good stuff as of today. So,
Larry, what's our total usage for the city on average or peak?
Oh, about 20.
Okay. And so this is a percentage, this would be a percentage of that, but there is still some room with under that 2 megawatts that would allow if, for example, there's been some chatter about solar power or other renewables that we could still fit if the council decided to. Like Central City recently did a lot of solar, I believe, on buildings, government buildings, I believe, wasn't it?
No, they've got a farm. They've got a solar garden.
yeah, excuse me.
You have a farm?
They did, yeah.
Okay,
And you would have 300 kilowatts. I think they did a 50 kilowatt project. So,
yeah,
you've got
so there's
plenty
still a
of
lot of room if the council decided to go in that direction, but that would be a conversation at a later time. But we just wanted to put it in perspective as to, on the grand scheme of things, we're looking at, what is it, 1.6?
So 1.7 megawatt.
1.7 of the 2 that's allowed of the 20? Okay, so that's just so you kind of know where we're at in that. So it's not a large percent of the overall usage, but it is a step in that direction, and it would give you somewhat more would give you predictable pricing moving forward, which you can't get from the NPPD contract, for what it's worth. Are there any questions or comments from the council?
Well, I was just gonna say is it's 1.7 megawatts, but the wind doesn't blow all the time. So as a whole part of our whole energy, it's about 2%.
Yep.
So it's just not a big chunk, but it's green energy, and if the council's interested in moving forward with that, it's the pricing. Even if NPPD kept their prices the same, it's just such a small amount. It's not really going to hurt us any at all anyway. But like Adam said, we'll get green credits off this that we can sell or whatever to our customers if they want to have some green energy. I don't know if Tenneco would be interested in that, or Hughes Brothers, or Concordia, or somebody like that. But a lot of people are looking for green energy credits so they can say, hey, my business is green, or we have a percentage of our energy is green, and for some people it's important.
And when you guys signed your NPPD contract, they gave this to you. I mean, they opened this up for you. We worked with NPPD very closely on some of the details on how it worked. I mean, this was part of the negotiations that everybody did. I mean, it's an opportunity.
Bruce, just for my clarification, I'm sorry if I'm asking an obvious question, but once the power comes into for us, for the city, how is the city going to use it? What's the plan?
It just goes into the system. I mean, it's just
so
electrons go in, and then they go boom like that, and they're everywhere.
Basically, everyone in Seward could say they
Exactly.
got a
Yeah.
Exactly.
I believe it's a net metering, with
Yeah,
the terminology, so.
Good question. That's the other neat thing about these type of projects. Usually we transmit, electricity over transmission lines for miles, and that works great, and there's reliability issues, we need to do that. But this is connected right into the city of Seward. We will not put this energy back on the transmission system. This will all get used locally first, and then you'll bring in your other energy from your other sources. So it's kind of going back to how we started in the electric business, 100 years ago.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
What happens down the road if, you know, if wind energy goes defunct or?
Sure. So we always say if the wind stops blowing, we've got bigger problems than that, right? So well, you're talking about the machine, right? So good question. A couple of things. You know your price, right? So your price isn't going to change, right? So that's the first thing. Second thing is, you know, the wind machines are no different than any other technology, right? From automobiles to computers. And we've seen major advancements in the wind industry. We only purchase General Electric machines. So this will be a GE machine with GE warranties, GE service and parts, you know, and all that stuff. So you got to look, who's the manufacturer? Is GE going to be here in 25 years, you know, and all that good stuff. So we're making a 25-year commitment based on proven technology in American companies. But then let's talk about worst case scenario. Let's say something does happen and it doesn't work, right? Well, the city of Seward is only obligated to purchase energy from the wind turbine. If that turbine isn't producing anything, there's nothing happening. There's no obligation, right? So that's not, you're not taking that risk per se. It's our job, it's our risk to maintain that turbine and make sure it's up and operating. If we don't produce, there's, you know, you don't pay for anything. You know, so, good question.
Closed session?
Well, it's up to the council. If you, as he mentioned, the pricing has come down a little bit since the last time that they presented. If you'd like to know what that is, we can go into closed session and do that because it's still considered proprietary and part of the negotiation. If you don't feel like you need to do that right now, presumably we would do it at the next meeting anyway if you're going to consider the contract. But if you did this meeting, you wouldn't have to do it next meeting. So it's kind of how the council wants to proceed. Kelly, do you have any? I mean, there's no real. I mean, I don't know. There's a necessity to go into this unless the council wants that information. So I'll just leave it up to the council. If anybody wants to make that motion, you can raise your hand and we can get you the sheet. Otherwise, we can. Otherwise, we could probably just move on unless there's any other questions or unless there's anything you wanted to add.
It's gotten better, we can say.
Yeah.
We already have a second closed session scheduled, so I'm content to let this go
Okay.
until we have.
That's good. Yep.
Okay. Is there anything else we want to, since you guys came out, is there anything else you want to cover or any other developments or anything that?
We're, you know, there's not only us, but there's communities and rural co-ops all over the state and Midwest that, you know, are looking at all sorts of this kinds of thing. It's exciting, you know, it's neat stuff.
Okay.
So,
We appreciate you coming down, and I think that gets us maybe one step closer to having that final discussion.
Yep.
So,
They're on for the next thing too, to discuss this, if we wanna talk about this too.
is that,
G5, the consideration of the application for the approval to connect.
oh, okay. So is there anything else on item number 4? Otherwise, we'll move on to item number 5. Okay. So item number 5, this is consideration of an application for Nebraska Public Power District approval to connect distributed or local generation. Bruce, did you want to?
Well, I put, if you approve the PPA, the power production agreement with Blue Stem, then the city needs to make application to MPPD to connect the wind turbine to the city's electric system. We don't have to have the PPA for you guys to get started on this. You just kind of need direction that, hey, we're going to continue to work with you, or would you rather have the PPA first?
So there's some cost and some work on our behalf and MPPD's behalf when we submit that. And so we probably wouldn't want to submit it,
Okay.
put MPPD through that until, you know, you guys knew you wanted to move forward with it. Just out of respect to those guys, because I wouldn't want to get started on it and then have you guys choose not to do it.
Is there anything you want to discuss on that item?
It's just, so what that is you're allowed to do this in your contract, but then MPPD has an interconnection agreement. And so we have to submit this interconnection agreement, and all they're doing is they're looking at the engineering and the technicality of the interconnect. So they're kind of watching your guys' back to make sure that we're not we're not doing something irresponsible. So we'll show them our one line, our engineering documents, and then they'll come back and approve that. There probably will be some upgrades back at your substations, which we can just make part of the project cost. But it's just, it's kind of the engineering piece of this, and so, but we don't probably wanna submit it unless we know we're gonna move forward with the project. Because they'll get started, they're good at it, they'll get started.
And how long does that usually take?
Good question, 60 days, before we get a response back. And then when you get that back, MPPD signs it, they said, all right, we know what you're doing. You know, you have to put like the size of the machine, all the requirements in there, and then they sign it, and that's kind of your approval to do it. You know, through your MPPD contract.
Any questions or comments on item number 5? Otherwise, thank you again for both of you for coming. Oh, he kind of did all the heavy lifting, but that's cool, right?
Matt's behind the scenes.
Right.
He does the real work.
Yeah.
Right. This is workhorse and the show horse.
Sure.
Is that how it works? Yeah.
But look, Larry, I mean, you don't see any issues with this at all in our system or anything?
Okay.
I mean, we had a big farm outside of Kimball, when I was there, got seven turbines, which I think was 12.5 megawatts. And we ran it through our system and then put it out into WAPA, because that was more energy than what the town used. And so, but this is different because this isn't anywhere close to what we're using, so basically everything out of there is just gonna go to our people. So, and it worked out great out there, but it's, you know.
It just has to be really windy during our high peak
Yeah.
time.
And it will be. Trust me.
Is that the backdrop too?
It is, I mean, and actually this year we've seen amazing, the turbines are getting better and the wind just continues to blow, so.
Yeah, because they operate better now than they used to at lower speeds. I mean,
Most definitely,
yeah.
yeah, GE's come a long way on these machines, so.
Great. Hey, thanks again, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. We're now moving to number 6, strategy session to provide negotiation guidance to the city attorney for the city of Seward rail site development real estate. Kelly, did you want to say anything before we, do we want to have any kind of discussion first before we go? Or?
I don't think so.
Okay. Who has who's Jonathan? It's like a script.
I move that we go into closed session with city attorney, the mayor, the city administrator, and Jonathan Jank for a strategy session. Provide the city attorney with negotiation guidance for the rail site development, real estate for a period not to exceed 30 minutes.
That's a motion. We have a second from Ellen. A motion has been made and seconded to go into closed session with city attorney, the mayor, and the city administrator, and Jonathan Jank for a strategy session to provide the city attorney with negotiation guidance for the rail site development real estate for a period not to exceed 30 minutes. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the pending motion is to go into closed session with the city attorney, the mayor, and the city administrator, and Jonathan Jank for a strategy session to provide the city attorney with negotiation guidance for the rail site development real estate for a period not to exceed 30 minutes. Please call the roll. Or please vote, I guess. But they need a vote, right?
Yes.
You register your votes? Are we good? Okay. Now, display the votes. This is not right.
Voting in favor, welcome back, Chris. Singleton, Hans, motion carried.
A motion to go into closed session with city attorney, the mayor, and the city administrator, and Jonathan Jank for a strategy session to provide the city attorney with negotiation guidance for the rail site development real estate for a period not to exceed 30 minutes has been adopted.
You can go, sorry.
I'm like
I thought I at least better ask you a question as long as you keep.
I'm like the anchor man. You put it in front of me and let it read it.
Who put the question mark on there?
Who put the question mark on there? That's the wrong inflection.
Figured you could take it from before you retire or something.
Yeah.
We good, John? Okay. Just first want to announce that there's no formal action taken in closed session. And that would conclude item number 6. Item number 7 is the administrator's report.
It's in your packet. We have a CRA meeting tomorrow to look at an application for TIF funding. We have an LB 840 meeting on Thursday to look at some funding for a business here in town. Just a lot of stuff going on. There's really good conversations out at the golf course from people. I think they're really happy with what's going on out there. And we had a big tournament on Friday, and unbelievable, it didn't get rained out or anything. We had 92 golfers. They played a group, a bunch of them played in the morning, and then the rest of them played in the afternoon, so. I think it's going really well. Appreciate your support. And
On the golf memberships, are we trending compared to what it was when it was a
Yeah.
country club, or?
yeah, we are, and we expect kind of a big push now here for the next 2 weeks, because leagues start next week. And I know there's a lot of people that haven't even been out there to play yet, so they haven't paid their annual dues that are playing in the leagues, so I think we're gonna see a big jump next week in memberships. We're way ahead, right? I mean, we're making money right now, but it's not gonna last, I'm sure.
Unless it keeps raining.
Yeah, so.
Any questions for Bruce? Otherwise, I entertain a motion to accept the city administrator's report.
So moved.
Do the motion, is there a second?
Second.
Do the motion and a second, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Wilton Beck, Fritz, Pike, Singleton, Hale, motion.
Item number 8, future request for council agenda items or administrative action.
Do you want to put Star Street on there for the next meeting? Do I tell you that right now?
Yeah,
Do I ask you that?
but we've already,
Okay.
we have it on there. The next meeting, Star Street. Those two items.
That's what I was mouthing to you.
Yeah, we will. Alright, seeing none, we'll move on then to item number 9, announcement of upcoming events. I don't think I have anything right now. Does anyone else have any events coming up that they know of?
Salt Dogs Exhibition Game,
What is that?
that's the 12th.
Okay, that'll be done at Plum Creek Park, if you're interested in going down there. It'll be a neat, should be a pretty neat evening, weather permitting, so. Rumor is I might throw out the first pitch, so wear headgear. Be safe, safety first.
Just a little inside.
And then next we have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second, please register your votes. Please display the votes.